Okay, I'm back. I've been away a while. Basically, I thought rather than go through the whole process of texturing and creating a texture for my cube, I thought I'd just go away, get it done, and then come back and show you how I did it. Because otherwise it would have been painfully slow and boring. So yeah, where we left it last time, I'd cut my seams into my cube, laid them out roughly, so just sort of got them to the positions where I roughly wanted them, but you can see here there's a bit of stretching, and so my next step was to just align everything perfectly so that because it's a cube, I wanted my textures to line up perfectly. So my next step after laying everything out was, I'll just show you my next save. Just lay everything out perfectly in a grid. So you can see here on the background I've created this grid sheet, which I could have just used the one that actually comes with Blender, but I wanted to create. I wanted it to be a very specific ratio, so I wanted it to match exactly the size I want for my texture sheet, which again I can still do, but it's what it basically does, it allows me to snap my geometry to my pixels. So if I select some polygons here and then go to, I can't remember what this is called, okay, yeah, edit mode in sync. So basically when that's selected, if I move a vertex, oops, no, I did that wrong. If I move a vertex, it moves every vertex that it shares a position with. So this, oh, it's over here somewhere actually. Trying to find a way to show you what I mean. Yeah, see, this vertex shares a position with this vertex, so if I move that, it moves both. So if I turn that off, it gets rid of everything. But if I select some polygons and do it, it'll only move the vertexes of the polygons that I've selected. So if I want to move this vertex, it just moves that vertex. So if I leave that there, in fact, let's go nuts, let's put it over here and exit that mode. This it'll be sharing the position with, I think, this one, but that's still where I left it. So basically that's what that does. Let's undo all that. So yeah, so I created this pattern to match, basically position my geometry so everything's perfectly square. So because I've created this texture sheet, all these pixels, because it's quite low resolution, these pixels work as a grid. So then, because I've got snap to pixels activated, if I move a pixel, it doesn't just move freely, it snaps to the corner of a pixel, and because it does that, it makes it really easy to get everything perfectly square. So all I do is I have to count the pixels on each side, so everything's 4 by 4, and then I can just move it into position. And I can do that with large areas as well. So if I select this row, so box select, I can move it into the exact position I want to really quickly, and I can check it by looking here. So if I move that again, see how it's distorting the texture on the 3D model, so I can tell if I've missed anything. So yeah, I did that. So I positioned everything to where I wanted it. On this save I've not quite done that. I'm not quite there yet. As you can see, all these are all my beveled edges are still waiting to be positioned on this save. But in the next save, I think we're on 7. Oh, hello. Don't know what that is. Yeah, I've moved them all over. But I realised I'd made a mistake, because these, there you go, these squares here shouldn't be squares. If you look actually on my 3D model, you can see that this is a rectangle. So if I look at it in orthographic, you can see, I can see 2 complete beveled polygons and then part of one above it. So these 2 polygons needed to be about, I don't know, there or somewhere. And also they needed to be thinner, needed to be smaller. So you can see I've actually created a much larger pattern texture at a much higher resolution. The reason I did that is because I was positioning my beveled edges, so I needed these squares to be small enough to cater to these edges. So then, because I hadn't accounted for the fact that my the squares that had beveled edges were actually rectangles, I created another texture which is even harder on the eyes than this one. If I open this, yeah, I don't know what this window is. I must have been using it for something. So yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah, there it is. So I've started doing it here. So these are rectangles. Oh, in fact, yeah, they are there. So all along these edges are rectangles, and then these are even thinner. And as you can see, this texture grid is huge. So I've just been I was just fine tuning everything so that it all fits. So it all matched on my cube. So then my next step, after I'd lined everything up, was actually painting a texture onto it. So we're on 8 now. There we go. So it's started here, and I can show you how I made this pattern. So this is actually another step on, but if I turn on my, there you go, my grid. All I did is I drew a big cross in the shape of my my UV. Oh, actually, I'll tell you how I exported my UV as well first. So go here, edit mode, UVs, and it's just export UV layout. So if I export that, and I'll export it as a PNG, and then you just name it, put it somewhere where you know it is, and then when you open it, it'll look like this. This is a much larger one, because actually I'll show you as well. Export UV layout, and then you can actually change your resolution in this bottom left corner here. So you, whatever size you want it at. And there you go. So yeah, you just whatever size you want it, and then hit export UV layout, obviously saving it as whatever name you want it to save as, and then you can open it in paint.net. So where was we? There we go. So yeah, so to texture it, all I did is I started another layer, painted a big blue cross, actually getting the colours from this layer. So basically I used my ink drop tool, selected a colour, use the square select. Oop, that's not right. There you go. To basically rough out a big cross shape, and then fill, poof, done. And then for my islands, there we go. All I did for that was I looked at my image of my my globe here, and I tried to match as best I could the shape of my continents on my original image. So all I did is I square selected, holding control, and then oop, that's shift. I'm actually using a Wacom Cintiq, so actually it's a lot easier if I do that. So I just kept basically roughing out the shape I wanted, and then when I had it all filled out, I just hit the ink dropper again, selected a colour, and then filled as a global fill. So if I hit F and then flood mode, global, and then it'll fill everything I've marqueed off. So everything I've used square select, all these shapes, it will fill it all out with global. So yeah, so I did that, and then next stage was my beaches, which there we go. So to do that, all I did is I duplicated this layer, so there we go, and then I went to effects. I can't remember which one it is, but I'll figure it out. We'll find it. Outline. So I just hit outline. Poof, done. Obviously, it's the colour's gone a bit weird. I'm not sure. So yeah, I just created an outline. Something's gone wrong there. Let me figure this out. I think it's because that's visible. Effects, stylize, outline. Yeah, and it's obviously it's the colour I've last selected. Is it? Maybe it's not. I can't remember. But yeah, but I did an outline. If it's not the colour I want, I can just change it here. I think that's what I actually did, because I think it takes the colour of the layer you're using and makes the outline out of that colour. I think I might be wrong there. So I just adjusted it in hue. There you go. So that's how I did that. Let's get rid of that there. Oh yeah, when it did that as well, it filled in all my clear spaces. So I just used the magic wand tool to select in global again. So if I go global and select, I can actually delete large areas in one go. So I just selected all the white areas that it filled in with, and then hit delete to delete them. So then I had all my beaches on a separate layer like that. So there you go. Yeah, so that's how I got to that stage. My next stage, is it this one? No, it's a bit further on, I think. Or maybe not. See, I put these sequentially so I could actually show you step by step. Oh, this will have to do. So you'll notice my continents, the greenery, has this kind of mottled effect. And to get that, this is partially collapsed, this one. I think I've got another one. In fact, I'll just show you one here. So I've selected this layer, effects, render, nope, distort, I think it is. Yeah. I think it's frosted glass aspect. So you pick that, and then no, that's not it. Effects. Oh yeah. First, you need to add noise. So I'll get rid of the color saturation, lower the intensity a bit. So all that does is it adds a bit of variety, a bit of a difference, colour difference to your surfaces. And then if I go in effects, distort, I think it's crystallise. Yeah. See what it's done is it's created that effect. So if you change your cell size, it'll make a right mess. But if you get some balance to where you want it roughly, so I think that'll do, it'll overlap the lines of your coastlines, but that's easily fixed. So all I did, went to my beach layer, magic wand, get rid of global because it'll select both inside and outside edges otherwise, and then go back to my grass layer, hit delete, and it gets rid of all the stuff that's overlapping. Next thing you got to do is select everything inside, so you bit by bit. In fact, no, that's wrong, I'm on the wrong layer. Nope. So you're just selecting all your continents, create a new layer, put it underneath the grass layer that you've added the effect to, pick a colour from the grass layer, go back to the layer that you've just created, fill, global, poof, and that just fills all your gaps. So all the damage you've done by using the cell effect, I've just undone in like those 2 easy steps. So that gets us a bit closer to this. Yeah, this is a PNG, but I'll just describe what I did here. So I had all my my continents and my beaches on a separate layer. So all I did is I picked this colour, expand this, I made it lighter, somewhere around here I think, lowered my opacity, created a big brush, so I'm just using the brackets, so it's fairly transparent. In fact, I'll make it more transparent. And I just painted, and I just kept adding layers and layers and layers and layers around my coastline to add this effect. Obviously, because my oceans were on a separate layer, I actually created a separate layer for this as well. So I was working on a separate layer, and this layer was underneath all my continents, and then when it was all done I just merged it with the ocean layer, and then that's how I got this effect. There we go. So then, oh yeah, as well, you can see this dark blue. So actually I did basically the same thing with the colour wheel, and I just went the opposite direction, and then just for the deeper areas of my oceans I made them darker blue. The next step after that was making all these edges tile better, because well, I've got lost. Which I've not finished doing yet. but I'm getting there. So the way to do that, basically, if you just let's go back to this one, because I need my grid. Basically, using your grid, select an area close to the edge, copy, paste in a new layer, so that's Control Shift and V. Zoom out, rotate layer, so it would be -90. In fact, no, undo all that, because I did it. Do you know what as well? I've not actually done that in the ocean there, so copy, Shift, V. I'm making a mess here, I'm doing it quick. Deselect everything, so layer, rotate zoom, -90, okie doke, and you can see on my layers that's moved it over here. So all I'll do then is move, so press M, move that layer, put it to where I want it to match. So basically this edge wants to line up with this. So by using the grid, I can line it up exactly where I want it, and all I need to do is make sure that it blends well with this edge here. And it's a long process because it's tricky as hell, but you know, it's doable. In Photoshop this would be a lot easier, but we're using license-free software for this, so yeah, it takes a bit longer, but it's you know, it pays off in the end. So that's my textures. So I did all that. Let's go back to Blender. We open it. Let's go back up to where we are now. It's not right. Ah, yeah. 13. There we go. So there's my my lovely texture all added. So if I go edit mode, there we go. So I've also added this is lifted straight from the texture pack as well. So this is the soil. Oops. This is basalt, and basically because I've kept my layers separate, it's made it quite easy to match everything up. So if I go back to object mode, so you can see the reason it's all shaded as well, because what I want to do as well is I want to add some highlights to the edges just to make it look worn down and stuff. But yeah, I've got my ambient occlusion turned on, so if I turn that off it actually looks pretty bad. But with it turned on, that's quite nice. Just adds a shadow to all these corners. So yeah, so my next step, I'll turn my background image back on, is I think clouds. I'm going to add clouds next. So to do that, what I intend to do is just select a bunch of polygons on the surface, obviously trying to map it so it matches the clouds on the background image, which I've not done here. Shift and D. Oh, hello. Why are you not working? Shift and D. No, still not working. Ah, Control and D. So yeah, Control and D just means duplicate. So I've duplicated those polygons. So actually, if you look on my texture now, if I grab this, it's completely separate. So I can actually move it, have a white background somewhere on my texture map, and yeah, there you go. So yeah, So all I need to do is duplicate an area of polygons. So I undo all that. Let's circle select. So let's just paint a big old cloud. Oh, that's my alarm. I shall be back. No, wrong button. That's annoying. Right, I'm back. So yeah, so I was just describing what I'm going to do to create clouds. So circle select, pick a large area all around the globe, and then once I've selected all that, Control and D. So that's created that. I'm going to hit right button to leave it where it was, and then scale it. So then it's, you see how it's by when I scale, just universal scale, it's just made everything slightly larger, so it just lifts the clouds on the surface at a nice even distance. So yeah, that's the plan. So once I've done that, I'll show you the results. So this is a short video, isn't it? I might have to do some editing here. I hate editing, I don't want to edit, but yeah, I'm going to have to, oh well. Alright then, yeah, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.